The first wine in this month shipment is going to be your 2013 small lot barrel fermented Chardonnay.
So this Chardonnay actually comes from two different locations within Napa Valley, because I'm a winemaker, I love to blend. First location is our vineyard in southern Napa, an area called Jameson Canyon, which is kind of the entryway to Napa Valley for coming up via Highway 29, San Francisco. The other location for the fruit is from an area called Atlas Peak. And this is the eastern hills of Napa Valley at a slightly higher elevation. Now this area can be warmer, but because it has a higher elevation, the vineyards are actually protected from the extreme heat during the day. It is a blend of two different clones of Chardonnay. It's new clones on our vineyard in Jameson Canyon. It's an Italian selection that is known for expressing a lot of minerality. And the other clone that we're using is something that's called Old Wenty. And Old Wenty is a selection that is also famously known for being called hens and chicks, meaning it has really itty bitty bitty, like BB-sized berries, and then bigger berries almost the size of a normal grape. And so it's also known for making a very floral muscatty wine. So we like to take those two clones and pair it with barrel fermented Chardonnay, so it has a fair amount of high New French oak. That really kind of helps balance out that floral minerality in the wine. It gets extended aging on the lees, so this was bottled in August. It had about 10 months in the barrel to really help flesh out the palate.
And what would you suggest pairing with this wine? I know as a new mom, I'm breaking into wine slowly, so I'm starting with the whites, and I love our barrel fermented Chardonnay. I like pastas with it, but I don't know what you...
I think pasta with a creamy sauce would
Yes.
be fantastic, because the acidity in the wine goes really well if you have a creamy sauce to go with it.
Perfect. Well, we hope that you enjoy the 2013 small lot barrel fermented Chardonnay. The next wine in this month's shipment is going to be the 2012 Estate Collection Cabernet Sauvignon.
So our 2012 Estate Collection Cabernet is similar to our Estate Collection Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Merlot, and that is a first release for us. This is a wine that's exclusive to the winery only, so it's only available to purchase as a wine club member or if you come to the winery. And if you hear any noises in the background, we're filming this in our winemaker for a day room, which is right outside the cellar, so the guys are cleaning tanks. It's harvest still.
Yes.
We're still working on pressing our tanks. So our 2012 Estate Cab is a great wine. It's a fun wine. It comes from what we call a classic vintage in Napa Valley, in that it was a vintage that really tended to emphasize a great balance between the acidity of the fruit and the sugar balance of the fruit. So when the sugar and acid come in perfect alignment, you get a wine that's very voluptuous and has a lot of texture to it. And so when we were crafting this wine, I wanted to try and really honor what I thought the vintage was about. And so in order to do that, we blend from multiple vineyards within Napa Valley, all the way up to the northern part in Calistoga, where you get warmer climate, so you get more of that fruit pop, more of that kind of higher fruit intensity, all the way down to the southern part of Napa, which tends to be a cooler climate, not necessarily as fruit driven, but something that has a lot more texture to it. So this is a wine that for me is deceptively easy to drink now. You might want one or two more bottles. Or it's also something that, because it drinks so easy now, you might think it might not age, but this is a wine that definitely will age for 20 years or more.
And it smells and tastes delicious, so we hope that you enjoy it. The final wine in this month's shipment is going to be the 2011 Calistoga Cabernet Sauvignon.
So this Calistoga Cabernet is part of our district collection, which honors all of the sub-appellations within Napa Valley. And this is the Calistoga appellation, so it's one of the northernmost appellations within Napa, one that tends to be very hot and tends to bring out what I call more like a very bright boysenberry or blueberry characteristic in the wine. And this wine is actually a blend of two different vineyards within Calistoga. And one of the vineyards is a great lesson that I learned a long time ago, which is you can never judge a book by its cover. Even if the vineyard looks a little scrappy, it can still make some pretty intense wine. And so I remember going out to the vineyard, and our vineyard manager took me out there. We drove in over this bridge over an abandoned creek bed, and then we drove around, and we see this one vineyard that was completely abandoned for 20 years. And he told me that was a vineyard. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then we rounded the corner, and then we saw this beautiful vineyard that was off to this side. And it's still, you know, it looks on the weaker side, but one of the things I love about this vineyard is that the berries are so small. I mean, they're literally the size of BBs.
Really?
So, and that really brings out intense fruit, and also it's a vineyard that has the most amazing tannins I've ever seen. It's one that's very balanced.
I mean, it smells delicious, and again, the berry flavor really comes out in the wine. With winter coming up, what would you suggest we pair this with?
A beef stew. Beef stew with some mashed potatoes in this
Oh
would be
yeah, mashed
fantastic.
potatoes, sounds great. Well, we hope that you enjoy your shipment, and happy holidays.